So metadata can usually contains information about how a file was created, the purpose of its creation, time and date of its creation, who created it, the location of where it was created. You could actually find out what network the file came from, and within that network you could find out who the internet service provider was, and your internet service provider can always provide you with a physical address. What's also included in metadata is the size of the original file and any sort of comments that the creator or whoever's editing it wanted to put in there. So, what's in your emails? Almost everyone who uses the internet has a web-based email account. Many people have two or more, so the likelihood of a forensic investigator coming across a case requiring forensic email analysis of a webmail account is actually very high. While law enforcement examiners can ask service providers for the email contents of the record order, corporate and non-government examiners have to rely on what evidence is left on the computer or mobile device. The three largest webmail providers are Google's Gmail, Microsoft's Hotmail, and Yahoo Mail. Together they account for well over 1 billion users. Each provider offers some unique features, but they're generally all quite similar in implementation from a forensic standpoint. On a PC, most webmail activity is conducted through the browser, so it's no surprise that any evidence will usually consist of browser artifacts. Depending on the actual browser used, the data will be stored differently, but typically the cache, history, and cookies are your best source of evidence. History and cookies will provide dates and times and sites visited, but the data of the real evidence value is found in the cache. The cache stores web page components to a local disk on your hard drive, so you can speed up future visits to your email. Many emails read by the suspects are found in the cache folders, and those locations usually vary depending on the operating system and the browser used. If you use a client like Outlook, then all your emails are stored locally, which actually makes it a lot easier to pull them off of a hard drive. Got something to hide? So I'm actually taking a class that's forensics, and in another project that we're working on in that class, we're talking about anti-forensics. Anti-forensics is basically countermeasures to ensure that forensic techniques cannot be applied to computers or data storage or hardware. The picture that I have in this PowerPoint is actually a slide from another project that I have in that class. There are ways to stop a computer forensic analyst from finding what he needs to find. Some ways to do that are usually data hiding, artifact wiping, trail obfuscation, and attacks against the actual computer forensic tools. For people with not that much computer background, more viable summary of what's possible, you could physically damage your hard drive. For instance, you could burn it, you could apply a really big magnet to it, like a strong magnet, and demagnetize it. You could take a hammer to it, you could drown it, you could electrify it. Another way to try to go about it is you could overwrite extensively. If you were about to, try to format your hard drive about 20 times, it's no guarantee that you'll delete all the data that you're trying to hide, but it would give you a little more, better chance. Another thing that I went over in the previous slide is editing metadata. That's also a possibility, but that usually leaves a big trail, and it's very easy to catch if someone does that. So, handling a case. The most important thing is gathering the evidence or the media. By media, I mean any sort of laptops, computers, phones, anything digital. The integrity of the media is a very high priority. You have to document everything. You got to log all your evidence. You got to create a report. You need to log all authorized personnel who come into contact with any evidence. This requires a stocked workstation. So, a workstation basically can consist of a couple of your own computers, tools to duplicate hard drives, decryption tools, and other special software. Cloning media is very important when it comes to computer forensics. So basically what this is that I would go out and I would buy another hard drive that's the exact same model and size as a hard drive that has evidence that I need to pull off of it. And the reason I'd be doing that is because if I'm going to make a complete copy, a clone of the hard drive, I'd be making it on something that would accept it a lot more capably, so we wouldn't run into any errors. And the reason I'm doing this in the first place is because if I have any evidence on the original hard drive and something happens to it, it gets corrupted, or someone took risks to make sure that the evidence or the data on it could sabotage itself, Having a clone of it to work on is a lot safer and a lot easier to submit in court. Retrieval of evidence is a major priority. It's the main focus of computer forensics, and you also need to remember that you are not the lawyer. You're not allowed to have a biased opinion. Any evidence that you find while working on a case, you are required to hand up, and you should not, and you are not allowed to hide it just because you might feel a certain way or you have some sort of feelings about the case. Any questions? Nope? Well, thank you for listening to my presentation.